Fewer and fewer people believe nowadays. It's possible that in a generation there simply won't be religion across Europe and large sections of North America, Australia and Asia. That's not necessarily a problem. But it's worth thinking about why people made up religion in the first place, and what we're doing with the needs and longings that led them to do so. At one level, religions are about asking us to believe in something. And when people say they can't believe, they tend to stop right there with the whole religion business, and often point out all the horrid things that religions have undoubtedly done and continue to do. But in a sense, belief is almost the least important and definitely the least interesting side of religion. What's fascinating is all the other stuff religions get up to. For example, the way they regularly gather people around and, strikingly, tell them to be nice to one another. Or the way they create a sense of community, acting as hosts, making sure the granny and the child, the big chief and the little guy, learn to see each other as human beings rather than abstract entities. Religions use rituals to point stuff out to us and lodge it in our fickle minds. For example, that the seasons are changing, or that it's the time to remember your ancestors, that the moon looks pretty, that you can atone and make a fresh start, or that it's rather amazing there's food on the table. Confucius explained, "The relation between superiors and inferiors is like that between the wind and the grass. The grass must bend when the wind blows across it." Bending gracefully is in fact not a sign of weakness, but a gesture of humility and respect. 4. Cultivated knowledge can be more important than creativity. Modern culture places a lot of emphasis on creativity, unique insights that come to us suddenly. But Confucius was adamant about the importance of the universal wisdom that comes from years of hard work and reflection. He listed benevolence, ritual propriety, righteousness, wisdom, integrity as the 5 constant virtues. While Confucius believed that people were inherently good, he also saw that virtues like these must be constantly cultivated, just like plants in a garden. He spoke about moral character and wisdom as the work of a lifetime. We can see now why he had such reverence for his elders. Of course, a burst of inspiration may well be what we need to start our business or redo our rough draft or reinvent our life. But if we're being very honest with ourselves, we'll have to admit that we also need to devote more energy to slowly changing our habits. This, more than anything else, is what prevents us from becoming truly intelligent, accomplished and wise. Most people agree that we need to improve our economic system somehow. Yet we're also often keen to dismiss the ideas of capitalism's most famous and ambitious critic, Karl Marx. This isn't very surprising. In practice, his political and economic ideas have been used to design disastrously planned economies and nasty dictatorships. Nevertheless, we shouldn't reject Marx too quickly. We ought to see him as a guide whose diagnosis of capitalism's ills helps us to navigate towards a more promising future. Capitalism is going to have to be reformed, and Marx's analyses are going to be part of any answer. Marx was born in 1818 in Trier in Germany. Soon he became involved with the Communist Party, a tiny group of intellectuals advocating for the overthrow of the class system and the abolition of private property. He worked as a journalist and had to flee Germany, eventually settling in London. Marx wrote an enormous number of books and articles, sometimes with his friend Friedrich Engels. Mostly, Marx wrote about capitalism, the type of economy that dominates the Western world. It was, in his day, still getting going, and Marx was one of its most intelligent and perceptive critics.